just before I invite Reverend to come and take over and invite our speaker, I'd like to tell you a little bit about speaker. She's an enlightened politician, very versatile, an active school governor. She's a prolific member of the Labour Party, and amongst other things, some of the achievements that she's done in her ward within 3 years include, but not limited to, opening Evelyn Community Store, inspecting supply of 10,000 free books to 4 primary schools, another 22 free books to other Lewisham primary schools. You can see that her love for education cuts across, and it's making her really passionate about making a difference. She reopened Evelyn Children and Family Center, which includes baby massage, throat work, craft sessions, job centers, etc. These are meeting the needs of our time, particularly of our era, those challenges to have a woman that takes the knife, bull by the horn, and takes the knife to slice through the needs of our time. I think she's somebody that you definitely want to speak to after this event to network with. She has organized a stop and search training for the residents of Lewisham. She organized live crime conference for residents of Lewisham with the help of Good Samaritan charity. I told you not limited to, the list is endless, and all of this within our 3 years of tenure. Ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed to have Our Excellency Ambassador Councillor Kalu in our midst. But allow me to invite Reverend and come and bring her to the microphone. One more time, Reverend.
Yeah.
Praise Master Jesus. Hallelujah. So please, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor, privilege to introduce to you my own dear sister, Ambassador Lady Councillor Caroline Kalu in our midst. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm so happy to be here and to see all of you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for coming to support my sister. It's not easy to leave anything but being to be here. I know how hard I found it to come here, and I do apologize for being late. I always keep to the time. Because I have other events I have to attend. I did advise my sister I would be late. And the late I was thinking, not to this extent. So my apologies to all of you. And just so I know all of you know what we are here for, it's about domestic violence. I welcome everybody, MPs, ambassadors, councillors, chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for inviting me to address you at this matter that concerns all across England and Wales. 7.3% of women and the 4.2% of men were victims of domestic abuse between March 2016 and 2017. In London alone, there were 54,462 women and 17,068 men who were victims of domestic abuse in 2016. Perhaps most worrying, survivors of domestic abuse are often repeat victims. 4 in 10 domestic violence victims were attacked more than once in 2016, 2017, and it raised from 3 in 10 in previous year. This makes it 4 recommendations I will advise everybody to bear in mind, which I believe will improve policy, practices around domestic abuse in London, an evaluation of the threshold for mentoring, serial across border of offenders, continual lobbying by the mayor of London, and if all of you can also help, that will also help, both in your household, not just focusing on the London mayor or government to help you with the domestic abuse we are getting to, especially women. So with the scheme that we have, right to act scheme, so that people can act by range of suitable channels and a change in the law to introduce a domestic abuse offenders register for any person convicted of domestic abuse related offense. In doing so, the police and the public will have better access to up-to-date information, and together measures to place upon offenders in order to protect survivors of domestic abuse and prevent reoffending. Domestic abuse is a complex issue, and the policing response alone will not be enough to solve the problem. The funding received by the police and the key partners, such as local authorities, is not enough. The availability and location of refuge places and the specific support, buildings, and support of offered for victims through the case are all vital in improving our response to domestic abuse. However, the focus of this report, of the recommendation made, is the powers available to the police to deal with the domestic abuse. This report uses the term domestic abuse, violence, because survivors may not identify with domestic violence if the abuse is psychological or emotional rather than physical. This form of abuse can be just as damaging as physical violence. So it is equally important that the police are the best equipped to tackle this form of domestic abuse. Figures shows that the perpetrators of domestic abuse tend to be male, while survivors are more likely to be women. Women are particularly likely to experience domestic abuse, such as intimate partner, violence and stalking, are more likely to be victims of sexual violence. However, domestic abuse exists across genders and within many communities. Within the LGBT community, 25% of lesbians, gay, and bisexual people, and up to 80% of transgender people have been the victims of domestic abuse. Ethnicity and background appear to be less of a factor in the likelihood of being a victim, according to Women's Aid. There is evidence to suggest that from some ethnic or cultural communities are more at risk than others. However, Black, Asian, ethnic minority women may face more barriers in accessing the domestic abuse in London. We seek your support to ensure a strong focus on gender, equality, women's rights, and empowerment in ending the violence. Thank you all for coming, and look forward to strengthening collaboration with you and your countries which forum you are from through this event to end violence against women, and also to help us tackle exclusion in school. Because with the domestic abuse is affecting our kids in the school too. We got the highest exclusion in the school, and which due to overcrowded, that is also affecting our kids in the school, in education. So I would like all of you to communicate with your neighbors, with your friends. If you know they have any issue, don't walk away from them. Say it's not your problem. It's everybody's problem. If your neighbor is progressing, I'm sure your neighbor will try to help you. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Pastor Colin. Those figures, facts and figures does make you think, doesn't it? Let's give her a big hand one more time. Does make you think. Thank you for sharing those perspectives with us.